welcome to everyone. Thank you for sparing your time to be with us. If you don't mind typing in the chat your name and where you are joining us from, that would be nice. Please, in the chat section, type where you're joining us from, your name. Let's see what countries and regions are represented. I hope you can hear me well. I hope I'm audible. All right. Okay. So please, in the chat, let me know where you are joining us from. I see Kenya, London, Nigeria. Please type, let us know where you're joining us from. Ghana. Okay. Interesting. So, yeah. So just a few housekeeping rules. We have Nigeria is really fully represented, as we can see, Lagos and so on. Abuja, Virginia in the US. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to join us in this first ever edition of the IPv6 Secure conference. The conference is online, fully online for this first edition. And as you know, we are using Zoom. So the controls of the platform are just under there, and you feel free to type any remarks that you have in the chat. Also feel free to ask questions in the chat. My name is Musa Stephen Honlue, and I'm project manager and transformation lead for Afrinic. And I always introduce myself as an internet citizen. With me today, you will have a lot of esteemed panelists. We have a very, very nice lineup of key personalities. And the conference is going to last for the whole day of today. It started at 10 UTC plus 1, and it's expected to end at 4:30 UTC plus 1. So we'll have two main sessions. The morning session filled with keynotes, and in the afternoon session, we'll have some technical presentations. So I'll be your moderator for this morning session. And as we start, I would like to invite Prof. Latif to share the opening address for this conference. Prof. Latif is founder and president of the IPv6 Forum, and he has a remarkable experience and background in the IPv6 realm, and has contributed a lot in advancing the deployment of IPv6 worldwide, and particularly in Africa. So, Mr. Latif, the floor is yours. Just give us the opening address.
Yeah, thank you,
Ma io la
Musa, for
vedo,
that
ma io
kind.
la... No, perché sono io, vedi?
Yeah, thank you, Musa, for that kind introduction and laying the ground for an excellent day. So, good morning to all of you, and heartfelt welcome to this inaugural IPv6 Cybersecurity Summit. It is with immense pride and purpose to launch a movement dedicated to empowering Africa's digital future with IPv6 supporting thereby new technologies such as 6G, AI, and blockchain. We are here to shape a secure, connected, and inclusive digital landscape for our continent, a vision that drives us to lead in innovation and cybersecurity. Africa is at the heart of a digital revolution, from the rise of smart cities to the proliferation of IoT devices and the promise of next generation networks. Our continent is embracing connectivity at an unprecedented pace. We are at a pivotal moment in the evolution of global connectivity. The transition to IPv6 is not just a technical upgrade, it's the backbone of a connected, sustainable, and intelligent world. Our continent is a vibrant hub of technological growth, with millions coming online, startups thriving, and industries embracing digital transformation. Yet this growth brings complex challenges, cyber threats that evolve as fast as our networks do. As we adopt IPv6 to power smart cities, seamless connectivity, and sustainable technologies, we must ensure that our digital infrastructure is resilient, secure, and inclusive. This is why we are here today, to forge a collaborative path forward, to share knowledge, and to build a cybersecurity framework that protects Africa's digital future while fostering innovation. Our mission today is clear. We will foster actionable strategies, share cutting-edge research, and create inclusive platforms for women in technology, young innovators, and scholars. As we begin, I call on each of you to engage, collaborate, and innovate. Tag a colleague, share your expertise, and join us in building a secure and sustainable digital future for Africa. Let me make this summit a catalyst to change, a moment where we commit for protecting our networks, empowering our communities, and leading this world in IPv6 cybersecurity. I wish to thank the organizing committee orchestrating the task force, culminating in the first Africa-wide event. Thank you for being here. Together, let's secure Africa's digital tomorrow. Thank you. Back to you, Musa.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. And yeah, interesting. So now, thank you for that insightful message. Your decades of advocacy for IPv6 continue to shape the future of the global internet. Africa is listening to you. So now, without any further notice, let's welcome the first keynote presenter. Check with me if he's here. Dr. Kashifu. Is Dr. Kashifu here?
No, he's replaced by Dr. Usman Abdullahi.
Okay, Dr. Usman, are you ready? If you are ready, then we will open the floor to you.
Yes, Musa, I'm ready. So please go ahead.
All right. So yeah, feel free to share with us your keynotes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, good day. Well, I'm sure it's morning all over the place, everyone. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to represent my DG CEO, Dr. Kashifu Abdullahi, CCIE, at this very important and event. Dr. Kashifu, being a public servant, of course, Prof. Latif would know that when he was contacted, he promised to be here personally. But of course, as the demand of the office requires, he was called yesterday to be at the villa, presidential villa this morning. And so he asked that I stand in for him and then read his keynote. It's a pleasure that actually he has drafted the keynote. So, but if he were to be here himself, I mean, I'm sure he would just, pour it from his, mind. But I have to go through what he has put together. And it starts thus. It's a great pleasure and honor to address this distinguished audience at the Africa-IPv6-Secure Summit and to speak on the theme, Nigeria's IPv6-driven digital public infrastructure, securing Africa's digital future. This subject touches not only the technical infrastructure of our continent, but its very destiny. This summit couldn't have come at a better time. It is a moment of immense opportunity for Africa, a continent brimming with talent, innovation, and untapped digital potential. But to truly harness this potential, we must lay down the right foundation. We must lay down the right foundation. At the very heart of this, digital public infrastructure, built securely, at scale, and for everyone. At the very heart of that infrastructure lies a simple but powerful innovation, IPv6. Through this keynote, I am proud to present Nigeria's journey in advancing IPv6 adoption as the foundation of our digital public infrastructure. This journey extends far beyond expanding address space. It is about embedding resilience, trust, and security into the very architecture of our networks. Today, I will share our experiences, the lessons we have learned, and our vision to safeguard not only Nigeria's digital future, but also Africa's shared digital destiny. You may be aware that IPv6 offers limitless addressing capacity and comes with built-in features such as IPsec, while enabling transformative technologies including IoT, 5G, Net 5, 5G, and smart city ecosystems. Yet, with these opportunities come new risks. The question before us is clear. Is Africa's critical infrastructure truly ready for IPv6 threats? From NIDA's assessment, while encouraging progress has been made, readiness remains uneven. Urgent interventions are required to strengthen technical capacity, close policy gaps, and harmonize security frameworks across the continent. Digital public infrastructure. Now, digital public infrastructure refers to the foundational digital systems that enable essential services in a modern economy. These include digital identity systems in Nigeria, like the Nigeria's National Identity Number, NIN, digital payment systems like the Nigeria Quick Response NQR, digital exchange layers for secure and interoperable government and private services. Digital public infrastructure is what allows citizens to access healthcare, education, government services, and financial tools with a single digital footprint, securely and efficiently. And unlike private platforms, DPI is built as a open, inclusive, and scalable. Why does it matter? And why does IPv6 matter for DPI and Africa? DPI relies on a vast network of connected devices and systems. Every digital identity registered, every payment made, every smart device deployed requires an IP address. But the challenge we have is IPv4, the old protocol, has run out of addresses. IPv4 gave us about 4.3 billion addresses, not enough for a single smart city, let alone a continent. Now I focus on Nigeria's adoption of IPv6 and the challenges as well as lessons learned. You may recall that about a year ago, we hosted the IPv6-driven Digital Infrastructure Summit here in Nigeria, Abuja, in collaboration with Huawei, IPv6 Forum, and the IPv6 Council of Nigeria. At the conference, Nigeria's IPv6 white paper was presented, and it provided a blueprint for national migration. However, challenges persist. 1, limited awareness and skills. ISPs and government operators remain more conversant with IPv4, with only a handful of IPv6 trained engineers across the country. Legacy systems. Much of Nigeria's digital infrastructure is still IPv4 based, requiring extensive dual stack deployments, testing environments. Few labs or sandboxes exist for secure IPv6 testing, slowing implementation. And lastly, resistance to change. Some operators view IPv6 as optional, delaying migration and creating systemic risk. Some of the lessons learned include IPv6 adoption must be policy-driven, not left to voluntary uptake. Migration is a whole of society task, requiring government, private sector, academia, and the civil society involvement. And security must be integrated by design, ensuring IPv6 deployments do not expand the attack surface of critical infrastructure. Scaling capacity building for IPv6 security. As the government IT development agency, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, has identified capacity building as the central driver of IPv6 readiness. Our approach emphasizes training frameworks, expanding the work of the IPv6 Council, Nigeria, and embedding IPv6 security in national digital skills initiatives, such as the 3 Million Technical Talent Program, Threat Intelligence Exchange, promotion of Nigerian IPv6 Threat Intelligence Hub, interoperable with African SATs, and linked to global actors like ITU, FIRST, Interpol, and the rest. Public-private partnerships. Leveraging collaboration with Cisco, Huawei, Google, and local ISPs to establish labs, organize drills, and transfer knowledge. Academic integration. Supporting universities and research institutes to set up IPv6 cyber labs, preparing the next generation of engineers and researchers. Through these initiatives, NIDA is positioning Nigeria as a continental leader in IPv6 security capacity building. Policy gaps requiring urgent attention. Despite ongoing efforts, our review highlights critical policy gaps, such as absence of IPv6 security standards. Nigeria and most African states lack enforceable standards mandating IPv6 readiness for critical infrastructure operators. Fragmented national roadmaps. Without binding roadmaps and enforcement, migration is inconsistent and risks remain. Regional disconnect. Cross-border services suffer from divergent regulatory approaches, reducing resilience, and integration into cybersecurity strategies. Many national cybersecurity policies do not explicitly address IPv6 security risks. Our policy recommendations. We in the National Information Technology Development Agency recommend as follows. Establish national IPv6 security baseline for critical infrastructure, finance, energy, health, telecoms, etc. Mandate IPv6 compliance audits tied to ISP and operator licensing. Promote regional harmonization under ECOWAS and the African Union to ensure interoperability and shared situational awareness. Explicitly embed IPv6 risk into Nigeria's national cybersecurity strategy and critical information infrastructure protection frameworks. Is Africa's critical infrastructure ready? Based on our assessment, Africa is not fully ready for IPv6 threats. Adoption remains under about 5% continent-wide, leaving most infrastructure dependent on IPv4. Where IPv6 is deployed, weak configurations and lack of monitoring leave systems exposed to abuse of IPv6 neighbor discovery protocol, exploitation of IPv6 extension headers, misconfigured dual stack environments, and insecure IoT device directly exposed to on IPv6 networks. So as Africa advances IoT, 5G, 6G, and smart cities, the absence of IPv6 security standard risks cascading failures across critical services. So, what are our recommendations for Africa going forward? To ensure readiness, Africa must act with urgency and coordination. This summit couldn't have come at a better time, therefore. We therefore recommend the following. 1, mandating IPv6 in critical infrastructure. Regulators should require secure IPv6 deployments for ISPs, cloud providers, and government operators. Scaling human capacity. Regional IPv6 cybersecurity centers of excellence should be established, modeled after Nigeria's skills programs like the 3MTT program. Building interoperable open systems. Africa must adopt open APIs, embrace global standards like MOSIT, and contribute to platforms like Digital Public Goods Alliance. Regional and global collaboration. The ECOWAS and African Union should drive harmonized IPv6 policies backed by operational links with ITU, FAST, and Interpol. And lastly, embedding IPv6 in cybersecurity governance. IPv6 must be fully integrated into critical infrastructure protection frameworks, national cybersecurity policies, and CERT operations. In conclusion, Africa's critical infrastructure is not fully prepared for IPv6 threats, but readiness is achievable. Nigeria's roadmaps demonstrate that with deliberate policies, skilled training, and international collaboration, IPv6 can be a secure foundation for Africa's digital future. IPv6 is more than a technical protocol. It is the architecture upon which Africa's sovereignty, resilience, and innovation will stand. Securing IPv6 adoption today will safeguard the continent's leap into an AI-driven, quantum-ready digital era. And we must build it ourselves with technologies that are scalable, secure, and sovereign. IPv6 is not just a technical upgrade. It is an enabler of inclusion, a defender of sovereignty, a bridge to innovation. So let us commit together to this journey. Let us build a digital Africa that is open, secure, and truly Africa. As I wish us very successful summit today, I thank you for your attention and God bless you all. Dr. Kashif Inu Abdullahi, CCIA, NIDA, CEO, Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's overwhelming. That's overwhelming and quite interesting. IPv6 is not just a technical upgrade. That's very interesting. It's not just a technical upgrade. IPv6 is an enabler. It comes with a lot of opportunities. It's quite diminishing when people see IPv6 just like a replacement of IPv4. No, it's not. It's not just a replacement of IPv4, because when you hear us today talking about Internet of Things, smart cities, smart homes, things like that, all this technology cannot happen with IPv4. They can only happen with IPv6. And when you look at the contribution of the internet and to the growth, to the economic growth, both of Nigeria and Africa, we stay very optimistic, and we are on our hunger to get these things moving to the right speed. Unfortunately, as you painted in the presentation, we are still having a long way to go. From a global deployment of around 4 to 5% in the region, we need really to encourage people to deploy IPv6. And as technology keeps improving, there are going to be a lot of threats to the legacy protocols, that's the IPv4. So we encourage people to move to IPv6. Thank you very much, Dr. Usman. I will now call on Dr. Chris. Dr. Chris, are you here? Dr. Chris.
Not in at the moment, so we can take the next.
All right, so let's move to Dr. Dorothy.
Could you ask the other person to switch off their mic? Am I supposed to be speaking, or is it someone else?
Right.
Hello?
It's you, Dorothy. You can go ahead.
Okay, I'll be sharing my screen.
Yeah, you can do so.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
Let's just see where the...
So, Doctor, you will be having 15 minutes. I will remind you of the time when we are 2 minutes away from the end. Okay,
I hear you.
the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I'm really pleased to be with you this morning and to be with so many friends with whom I've been collaborating over the years. I see that we are not doing a lot of protocol, so I'll follow the same format and just say good day to everyone. And I want us to look at IPv6 as, first of all, let me check. Can you see the screen?
Not yet, madam.
Really? So you are just seeing my face?
Yeah.
Excellent.
What happened? Okay.
Technology happens.
Mm. Oh,
I think somebody has to allow you to share
I
the
I
screen.
clicked on share.
Yeah,
It is allowed.
share is permitted.
Yes. So why can I not see the screen? Let me open it again.
Would you like to drop the presentation in the task force group and I'll share it, Doctor?
Can you see it now?
No,
No?
Not
no.
yet.
Okay, I will send it to you. It will be simpler. I'll respond to your message, which was, let's see, IPv6 task force? Yes?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. That's very strange. Yep. I've sent it to you. It's called X1.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. But it said it has gone. But let us get to the meat of the matter. We don't really need these presentations. We just use them as a reminder. So the title of the talk is Africa Digital Transformation for Growth and Development, Why IPv6 Matters. And I want to trace us through some context, constraints, and indicate a pragmatic path forward. So as others have said, we have the global IPv6 usage, which now exceeds about 40% of traffic. But in Africa, we are about maximum 6%, around 3% in sub regions. And I look at this as an indicator of Africa's increased dependency on external resources and infrastructure. Because over the decades that I have been working, following IPv6, we have expanded considerably the number of people who are using IP. But we are seeing that the IPv6 usage is more or less at the same percentage levels in some areas. We have a few bright spots, that is Senegal, Togo, Gabon, and the Republic of Congo, where we are showing about around 20% capability, but the continental progress is very uneven. And I'm deliberately not talking about Nigeria because I'm in the presence of many gurus from Nigeria, and I expect you will be talking about this. So what do we see? We have an infrastructure deficit, the economics of dual stack versus CGNAT, the limited local content and hosting, skills gap, and governance uncertainty. The low 5G IoT deployment and fewer hyperscale enterprises reduced short-term demand signals for IPv6. And the low deployment of digital technologies, for example, we are not seeing, if you imagine that every school had a lab, how many more addresses you would need, but we don't see the deployment of digital technology in key sectors. There's a clear business case. There are a lot of costs that are linked with the workarounds like CGNAT. There's simpler addressing at scale, better performance, and future proofing. But yet, we are not seeing anything. We're not seeing the progress at the rate we wanted. So I'm going to skip this slide because we lost some time. Are you seeing the slides now?
No, and I haven't received it either.
Maybe you have filtered it. It's coming from the same address you have been sending to me. Let's see. Well, I think we'll give it up because
Yeah, I think the tone was set already. Yeah, we're listening and carefully.
yeah, you're listening and you're following it fine.
Yeah.
So we see it's quite ironic. I have this graph and it's showing that Central Africa is where we have over 6%, West Africa around 6%, North Africa just below 5%, East Africa around 4%, and Southern Africa around 2.5%. And you know that is not a reflection of the digital development in those areas. And what we actually see is there are a lot of workarounds. Why are people doing this? Most of us are using private IP through our telcos. The telcos have resisted going for IPv6. Their arguments are it's a lot of extra money if they have to change all their devices, but yet they are paying a lot for all the workarounds they use. Then we have the return on investment. They are not seeing that for the IPv6. And then we see that locally we have very few hyperscale cloud over the top platforms. So there's weaker customer pressure to deploy IPv6 end to end. And all the risks, the renumbering costs for the legacy firewalls, etc., etc., etc. So our digital infrastructure deficits, like this very weak last mile broadband and power reliability issues, are keeping operators very focused on making bandwidth available. They are not worried about protocol upgrades. And then you have a legacy network, CPE without robust IPv6 support increases replacement or upgrade costs, and then limited local data centers, IXPs, etc. So most of our traffic is exiting the region. And our local content, CDN presence varies by country. And as others have mentioned, huge training gaps. There's limited IPv6 hands-on experience in operations, security, and troubleshooting. I have a slide on operator realities with 4 points, but I'm just going to mention the public procurement rarely mandates IPv6. So suppliers often deliver IPv4 only solutions by default. And the vendor feature gaps for the licensing for IPv6 in older platforms is inconsistent when it comes to support in CPE firmware. Lots of change manager risks, the dual stack complexities. So the content and ecosystem effects of all of that. We have a lag, huge lag. And interestingly enough, where Starlink has come in, IPv6 usage jumped in several African markets because it nudged the incumbents to move. and then huge education and awareness gaps. And let me dwell a little bit on this because it affects policy. I believe that most of our policymakers, as the moderator pointed out and as has been pointed out in previous speeches, most of our policymakers lack a true awareness of the implications of this lag in IPv6 adoption. They look at it as a technical issue. They do not understand that it is hampering our growth, it's hampering our digital transformation, and therefore it's hampering our development. And I think that once we are able to communicate this effectively, we can see, we hope that policy will follow. Right now, you see that in some countries, when you go, you only find 2G networks that are actually operational, even though they'll tell you that there's 5G coverage. So the 2G, 3G, 4G is still very dominant. Device penetration is growing, but in some countries, let's face it, it's very, very low. You know, everybody talks about mobile, but in some countries, even mobile is very low, the access to devices, and particularly for women. And the IoT at carrier scale is just starting. We are not seeing, you know, the prevalence of IoT devices in Africa yet. And where you do see the deployments, they're using private APNs or natted IPv4, delaying the need for IPv6. So there's no strong growth in 5G standalone and massive IoT, and the commercial push for IPv6 is very muted. So the governance and policy context, we will not discuss the implications of the legal challenge at Afrinic, so I gloss over that. But definitely in many markets, there are limited regulatory incentives or mandates to ship IPv6 capable services and CPE. And there's fragmented coordination across ministries, operators, and ISPs. That means we don't have cohesive national IPv6 programs. And I was so happy that the RECs were mentioned. We are West Africa, so let me focus on ECOWAS, but all the regional bodies, whether it's SADC, whatever, you see that in general, they are very weak when it comes to digital. They focus a lot on peace building and crisis. And meanwhile, the underlying causes of the crises are the lack of economic development. And for the economic development to happen, we actually need IPv6. So at the moment, we don't have any clear policies, whether it is at the REC level or whether it is at the national level for most countries. Nigeria may be the exception. But even in Nigeria, I wonder if you are taking the fight or taking the information to the general population level. Because in my view, this should be one of the issues that we should worry about when we have elections. What is the political party's commitment to the IPv6 rollout? So they will tell you there's no customer demand. People don't ask. I mean, I cannot imagine a normal human being asking, is this address an IPv6 address or an IPv4 address? They can't. I mean, but we, as Starlink has shown, the use of the IPv6 can really improve the performance. And then the consumer will say, why is it that others are not able to deliver on this? And then we have this old argument, IPv6 is less secure. Well, I personally have never bought into this because with any deployment, you have to deploy the security that's linked to it. And the modern stacks support IPv6 parity. I don't want to go into too much technical depth, the ACLS, etc., etc. We know that security is not a real issue. It is just being used as an excuse. And NAT, people say NAT or NAT equals security. NAT is not a firewall. Stateful filtering and proper addressing are still required in IPv6. So the business case for the IPv6 operator: avoid all the costs linked with your workaround. Simplify your addressing, end-to-end visibility for advanced services, telemetry, and zero trust architectures. Differentiate with IPv6 ready packages, enterprise VPNs, IoT connectivity at scale, and future-proof, easier peering, better CDN performance, and alignment with global best practice. So now I want to suggest to you, I have just 4 more substantive slides. We have some quick wins the next 12 to 18 months. And I see that I'm very much in line with what Dr. Abdullahi has suggested. First of all, we start with an audit, an inventory of our IPv6 readiness. Then we need to have a plan, look at our policies, our security, our security baselines. Then we have to pilot and enable dual stack in a single region, measure performance and support the impact, and then scale firmware rollouts for CPE, IPv6 on peering, IXP, and CDN interconnects, and publish the timelines to customers so that people become more aware. And IPv6 is not just, when they hear it, I experimented and I called a few of my contacts who work in software, and I said, do you know what IPv6 is? And I had to talk to them for 5 minutes before they said, oh, IPv6. Oh, yeah, I remember. I think we studied something like that in school. So these are supposed to be digital experts, and they are not up to date. Well, I won't comment anymore. So clearly we need quite a lot of upskilling. And I do think we need to target our universities. As you know, in my past life, I was the Director General of a Center of Excellence in Technology. And I can't overemphasize how important it is to focus on the capacity building at that level. But really, we also need to upskill the professionals who are already in the field so that we will require IPv6 in all new RFPs and public procurement. So we have a few momentum examples. I mentioned already Sonatel in Senegal, Unitel in Angola, and then the whole Starlink thing. And the mandate we want to achieve is that governments, all governments, are going to mandate IPv6 in public procurement. And I think some of you may remember what happened when the US did that and gave a deadline of 2025. And I hope others will comment on this further. This is just an opening keynote. And then we need to fund the national IPv6 programs, the training, the test beds, the IXP upgrades, and the CPE swaps for underserved areas. Let's not forget the inclusion dimension. And we need to stabilize the RIR governance. Ghanaians don't like saying R. RIR governance, and promote open peering content hosting initiatives. Publish transparent IPv6 scorecards for operators and government agencies. I wonder what would happen if, I hope there's some of our big telco people who are listening in. What would happen if we gave you a scorecard on IPv6? And I would like to end just by emphasizing that we have so many new opportunities. For example, there's a lot of work going on in African language at the moment. They're using large language models that have been developed outside of Africa, but we are hoping that some of these models will soon be developed in Africa with the data being hosted in Africa. And you can imagine that when we have that kind of solution available, there'll be so many people who are communicating with each other in our languages. Very important for foundational literacy and numeracy in our languages. We have AI tutors, adaptive learning platforms. We have connectivity demand, lots more broadband use, the campus Wi-Fi upgrades. I've talked about LLM-driven automation, e-governance platforms, the EdTech ecosystem growth, the policy, the funding, the industry response, and all of this leading to huge IPv6 growth. I had some references for you on my final slide, but the main thing, the main message I want to leave you with is we have been I'm trying to be diplomatic. We have not been committed enough to the growth and adoption of IPv6 on our continent. And that is perhaps because we have not appreciated its important role in development. My core training is as a development economist. So even though I've been working in tech now for over 20 years, when I look at these issues, I'm looking at it in terms of what does it mean for the future of Africa. So I'm confident that everybody who is listening in today is committed to a more positive future for Africa. And we have to make sure that IPv6 is part of that and we get our act together in terms of the deployment. Thank you all very much. A pleasure to be with you in Nigeria. I soon will be in Lagos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will have said a round of applause to our esteemed Dr. Dorothy for that very, very, very insightful presentation on the critical needs of ethical frameworks and everything she named here. One comment that spiked me is about the IPv6 being less secure than IPv4. Some of these excuses we have out and people advocating for NAT being a security measure. Meanwhile, NAT was just a created feature to extend the lifespan of IPv4. And there is nothing like security behind that. There is no security in hiding behind a box. Because right now, if you do a quick research on the internet, you will notice that there are thousands and thousands of botnets in our networks in Africa. Meanwhile, our networks are around 95% netted. So how do we get all those botnets, all those zombie hosts on our networks if we think that is security?
I like the way you said it, zombies. we have resuscitated our IPv4 and they're walking around like zombies.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much. And that was quite insightful. And I would like to seize this opportunity to exhort us all here to make this not just another conference. What are the takeaways? What are the commitments? What are the action items that we are going to carry away from here? And as a task force, see how we can try to really push all these things. There are a lot of recommendations from the first keynote presenter to now Dr. Dorothy. And if we can find a means to get all of this in an action plan, and we as the task force here commit to see how we can help in implementing. I know some governments around Africa are very receptive. We just need to speak to them nicely, and then we use them as some playground to test all of these functionalities, all of these recommendations that we are giving here. Thank you very much again. I don't know if Dr. Chris managed to join us. Dr. Chris, are you around?
He's still having technical issues, so we can
all right.
move to the next.
Okay, so let me skip now to keynote number 4. That's Tony. Tony, are you here?
No, he's not. I think we can move to Dr. Evans.
Dr. Evans is around, please.
Oh, okay, Dr. Evans. All right, so Dr. Evans, if you are ready.
Excellent, excellent. Dr. Chris just got in.
Yeah, okay. We'll take him after the time for him to breathe. So Dr. Evans, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Please check your volume. It's very low.
Is it very low?
Very. Still.
Very low.
Yeah. We can see your screen though. Others, please confirm that the volume is low as I can hear here.
Volume low to everybody.
Yeah, we can't hear him. I can't hear him from here.
Volume is low.
Very low.
Very low.
Maybe we should check his
Are you using a headset?
Wi-Fi.
Probably okay, let me remove the headset. Is that better?
Yes.
Very.
Is it better now?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So a very good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, the organizers of this event, for organizing the event, because this is something that is highly needed here in Africa. And I thank the two presenters who just made a presentation. I thank Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, the DG of NIDA, for the insight he has given us as to what Nigeria is doing with regards to this new technology, IPv6, because I also agree with Dorothy that it is very critical for the development of Africa. It is very critical for our economic development. I totally agree that this technology is very, very important, and therefore Africa should take it, very, very seriously. I also thank Dorothy for all the insights she has given to us. So my own presentation is going to be on securing Africa's digital future with regards to AI, sovereignty, and cybersecurity. My own coming to IT was actually through the route of artificial intelligence, because I started studying artificial intelligence in the 1980s by doing a master's degree in the area and ultimately a PhD in the area. So that's how I got really introduced to AI. So this is very, very, very important, a conference. And as I said, my own presentation is going to be largely on AI, sovereignty, and cybersecurity. This is the agenda I'm trying to, present today. The agenda is to look at certain, some introductions. Then I'll also look at the digital crossroads that we have come, to Africa's AI opportunities, the role of AI in Africa's future, the question of digital sovereignty, why data sovereignty also, matters, and so on. I'll also ultimately look at the issue of standards, methodology, and ethics as something that is also key for us to take very, very into consideration. Now, as we all have been hearing, data is very, key in the world we are living in, today. Therefore, we all as individuals, as organizations, and even as countries need to pay attention to data. Who controls data will also be the one that will control the future. Currently, most of Africa's, data are not really being controlled, by us here in Africa. Therefore, that is something we have to pay attention, to. So who owns Africa's data and who would benefit from its future and opportunity? Because Africa is digitalizing very, very rapidly. But most of the time, we don't really have sovereignty over our own, data. This is something, very important that we have to take very, seriously. You see, for Africa to truly benefit from these new technologies like AI and digital infrastructure, we need to make sure that we have data security, because that is one way we can assure our future. AI development is very important, data, sovereignty, and of course, cybersecurity, especially in the world we are in today, in which even IPv6 is going to become a foundational technology through which most of the fourth industrial technologies like IoT are going to be implemented, which means it's very, very critical. But we have to also make sure that here in Africa, that we take into consideration issues to do with ethics and the context of Africa in whatever we are doing with regards to, this technology. As I said, Africa is at a digital crossroad. On the one hand, we are digitalizing rapidly. We are using digital technology to enhance so many sectors like fintech. Today, education, agriculture, health, so on and so on and so forth are being really pushed through the use of information technology in Africa. We are still very much below much of what is happening in the developed parts of the world, but Africa is making greater use of these technologies every day. But with these opportunities also come vulnerabilities, and we have to make sure that we safeguard ourselves from the vulnerabilities, because information technology is, in fact, especially AI, it's like a double-edged sword. It brings so many opportunities, but also it can also lead you into so many things that will make you very vulnerable. It can make us lose our jobs. It can de-skill us. Some people even fear that in the very long term, it might even make humans very irrelevant in the scheme of things in the, the world going to. So how do we protect our digital assets while at the same time shaping our own digital destiny? The upside is that today Africa has these youth that are very exuberant, that really also have a taste for information technology. We have loads of data, and we have also real-world problems here in Africa in the areas of agriculture, healthcare, education, even in terms of our digital ability to defend, ourselves. All these things are very critical. But the challenge is that in terms of AI, the systems we use here in Africa are not built. Most of the systems we use in Africa are not built by us. They are built, outside of Africa. In fact, models that are used to train, most of the data that are used to train, the models are collected, from us here in, Africa. This is making it look like if we are not really serious. We need to be very serious. The question of digital sovereignty is very important. So what is digital sovereignty? Control over our data and infrastructure and digital, policy that goes, with what happens to our data and infrastructure, how we develop this system, how we use these systems here in Africa. The current reality, as I said, is that we are relying heavily on what is given to us from outside. Africa must define its own destiny. Why data sovereignty? Why does it matter? It matters because African data, as I said, is stored majorly in foreign clouds or used to train foreign AI, models. If we have a situation where our data is being extracted by, foreign countries and made more use of by foreign countries and use it to build systems that they give back, to us. This is tantamount to digital colonialism. And this is something we should avoid here. We should therefore promote our own local cloud infrastructure, national data protection laws, like we have here in Nigeria, in terms of Nigeria's NDPA Act of 2023, cross-border data governance through African Union or regional, frameworks, like, the AFC-TFA, data for development partnerships that benefit Africans. This is what is, key. Cybersecurity is very important. Some people say that today, cybersecurity, in fact, cybercrime is now worth about $10.5 trillion. $10.5 trillion. So it's a huge economy. What that means is that the economy of, cyber, criminals today, if it were to be a country, would be the third richest, country after the US, China. It will be, cyber, criminals. So they have a lot of economic power. They operate almost as if they are running, companies. They are taking what they do very, seriously. Here in Africa, we saw a 400% rise in cyber attacks in recent years. Critical sectors that are being targeted here in Africa, banking, government, telecoms, in fact, almost all sectors of our economies are being, targeted. Therefore, we need to make sure that we have local capacity to be able to withstand all these, attempts to target some of our sectors. Now, we have, new threats in terms of AI, which today makes cyber attacks to be even smarter. As you all know, deepfakes today, deepfakes are almost being, difficult to distinguish from reality. In other words, they've become so good that they are so difficult to distinguish. There are all kinds of videos of people that a lot of people can swear that it is those people when indeed they are deepfakes. Automated phishing. People today can send all kinds of, bots in an automated, manner to just send all kinds of messages, to people. Malwares are set up automatically. So as a result of, these new threats, we have to also be cognizant of all these, threats and the fact that they are portending growing risks with regard to most of our banking and other critical infrastructures. And when that happens, of course, there's loss of trust in digital systems, and then exploitation of personal and national, data, could become jeopardized. So what should we do? Cybersecurity should be regarded as a national security priority. We should make sure that we have AI-enhanced cyber defense systems and then national cybersecurity resilience structures. I believe that it is a triple challenge. AI governance, we need to make sure we are masters of how we govern our AI life cycle, from what we want to do, data that we gather, requirements that we get, systems that we build, the infrastructure we set up, and how we build those systems and how we make use of those systems should all be guided in an ethical manner. Data ownership, who controls African data? We must make sure we control our data. Cyber resilience, can we defend ourselves against digital threats? We must be able to defend ourselves. Pathways to forward, invest in local AI talents and research, build African cloud and data centers. We must establish regional cybersecurity frameworks, and then we must also promote public-private partnerships. Now, research, I also always have been talking about, quantum computing, the fact that this is going to give AI even more power, give, cryptography, more power. Even data security can be easily eroded due, to quantum, computers, but it can also give us, better, powers with which to secure what we have and what we are doing, even in a much better. So Africa must also master quantum, computing. We must make sure that we have our own standards, methodologies, and that much of what we do in Africa with regards to development of AI-based systems and other IT systems, especially today in the era of fourth industrial revolution, are driven by the use of standards that are good from outside and standards that we've developed here in Africa, and our own methodologies on how to make sure we produce systems that are ethical, systems that are not going to be that are not going to be harmful, to us by way of taking our jobs, by way of also making us irrelevant, by way of clashing with our cultures, our religions, and so on. We must make sure that we can produce such systems. This is an area I've always been interested in since the 1980s. And of course, even currently, I have developed a methodology through which you can develop AI systems in an ethical manner. This was published in an international journal. So Africa should be a net contributor to the world. We shouldn't always be a recipient. We must focus on building sovereign from data infrastructure to ultimately, building these systems and making use of these systems. And of course, shaping international standards. In conclusion, what am I saying? I'm saying that we must secure Africa's digital infrastructure. We must secure the AI systems we build. We must make sure that we own our own data, and therefore that we have data sovereignty. And at the same time, we must make sure that we take the issues to do with cyber security very seriously. So let us not only build for Africa, let us also build for the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Evans. That was really insightful, huh? And you took it to another level. That level of AI. We are not even yet already comfortable with getting our infrastructure ready on the next generation technology. That's the IPv6. And by the way, IPv6 is is 28 years old. It was conceived at the ITF in 1997. That's 28 years old. If that was a child, we expect him to be married now and giving kids. Okay. So coming to the AI stuff, two very important aspects of AI that you brought to the light is the fact that AI is either coming to threaten you or to empower you. And and we have to be very cautious. We have to be very careful. Start right now or yesterday, building the capacity in terms of AI, because if not, we are going to fall in the traps of AI. I will take just those examples in the US where you saw lawyers in the courts coming with stuff generated by AI just to be portraying themselves too low because the cases that were named in their case were faked, and they had to be fined by the chief judge. So we have to know how to use AI, learn how to use AI, and then use it to our advantage. And we'll also take the example of people who have been able today to leverage on the power of AI to really boost their business, boost their activity, boost their productivity. So AI is something really to be considered in Africa. And still yet here on this task force, I am really calling upon us so that we really take this very serious as we think of commitments, that's action plan at the end of this conference, what we want to do. A particular aspect should be put on this AI stuff, and we see how we build our own AI for the region. Prof. Dorothy mentioned in her keynote that the AI model that are using large models from other regions, exactly as we have been consuming every other thing. We are consumer in terms of, let's look at the ITF. ITF, we have less than 1% African participation. The internet itself, when we look at the evolvement of internet, things that we could do, we are still consumers. Now AI is here. We want to still be consumer. Let's see how we can adopt AI, develop our own AI, become also vendors, become also solution providers, not only for Africa, but show also to the rest of the world that we can do these things also. Thank you very much, Prof. And
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So our next keynote presenter will be Chris. He joined us earlier. I don't know if he stayed connected. Chris, are you here? Oh. Please check with me, Lola. Is Chris here? Yeah, Chris is here. Chris, are you ready?
I can't see him anywhere here.
I see him here. He's connected.
Oh,
Chris.
yes, he is. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear
Your
you.
voice is okay.
Okay, doctor. So Dr. Chris is chairman of Digital Africa and Compumetrics Solutions. He will be our next keynote panelist. So let's welcome him. Chris, the floor is all yours.
Hello, Musa. I'm sure you are referring to another Chris.
Is
Oh,
it Chris Uwaje you're referring to, or because I'm on the panelist and not on the keynote?
I am okay. Let me check.
Yeah, please check again.
Let him talk.
Yeah, Chris Wallace. It's Ralph Wallace, it does.
And
Let Chris talk.
Just a minute. Oh, my bad. All right, sorry for the confusion. So the next keynote, Sony did not join, right? Tony did not join.
Okay, sorry, I think we can confirm Tommy Kinari, if he's on the call. Dr. Ahmed
No.
Said.
Dr. Ahmed is there?
Yeah, and
Okay.
if we have Dr. Ahmed, I know we have the president of OCAM, architect Pier Paolo Saporito, is very much on the call. So please, we can hear from OCAM president, please.
Okay, yeah, let's hear from OCAM president, then we take Dr. Ahmed after.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's very interesting conference. It's a great challenge also for Africa, but not only for Africa. We have a very tournament moment, and it's quite confusing from one side, but also could be very clear because it's the great opportunity for Africa to go up and to have its correct, right, and duty development. We are talking about the new technology. I'm talking about also the content and the real situation now, how we can work now and just work with the people and all the system is moving now because the people have the cell phone. Cell phone is the greatest instrument to be all connected, to work together, to have the chance to increase their own capacity. OCAM is created by UNESCO 30 years ago. So we have a long experience on the digital revolution. And in that mission, we was also involved in the assistance of remote community in danger in Honduras and so on. And so in 1999, we have used the first satellite for internet, open to internet, was at San Ramon. And we discovered with Oklahoma University, Milan University, and other partners, how the people could be involved, helped, and have its own capacity. So we transfer, we have a parabol of 3 meters, you can imagine, but there was good connection, connectivity, and we start to share training, the e-learning, now with the school, very poor school, village, very remote, and also maternal care with a primordial ultrasound, but mobile, so the midwives can use and can assist and can save the life. And also the farmer to teach how to save the harvest, how to increase that. And that was perfectly successful because we can have an image how was interested from the people to use that, and also how to use that. About that, the UN asked to present that result, and in 2001 was created the Info Poverty World Conference, which still operate at the UN headquarters, and some of you have participated. The mission is to fight poverty with the technology, with all the new discovered, but to be really epistemological orientation. That means every year we have a summit with all the best practices. And just I told in the 2003, 2004, for the WISES, we have created a specific village for WISES, a budget wheel in Tunis, who have exactly that services. The government was involved with the school, with the doctors, with the health. So it was 3 points of services, the school, the dispensary, and also the communitarian center. At that time, the access to internet was very, very important, and so was aggregation also. And that became a model of ICT village model. We was applied, we was called from several countries, and in Madagascar, we have opportunity to create a Sambaina, which was proclaimed in 2007 UN Millennium Village, where all this application was applied, and an interaction with the people, with the teacher. So it was a way to grow the competence of the villages and the specific people involved. And that is incredible capacity, the new technology, to involve the people, but they need the services, they need to be assisted, they need to have opportunity to be educated, to be training, also in the domestic work for farmer, for instance. And that is incredible effective because it's a community who participate. That means a new way to work, to use that. And we have launched in several years, but recently, the concept of e-welfare. The welfare is the basic for the development. We can deserve the training or learning, telemedicine for maternal care, for emergency, for consultancy, etc., and also for farmer. In that way, we have for farmer, we have we are lead a project of the EU. Is called EWA Belt. It's exactly the application of this technology to the farmer. And we are working in Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, and Ghana with 12 universities and centers of research on the rural, and also Nairobi University, and in 40 villages as a point of research. And the results after 5 years is so huge because they have not only over the problems of the food, but that they have multiplied the capacity. So that means a lot of advantage. That means money. That means capacity. That means also to serve the town for food. And with UN Habitat, we have launched last year. No, two years ago, we are working just the bridging rural and urban. I mean, the rural are they need a service user, but the urban, they have a university, they have experts, they have competence. So that competence need to be transferred. In that time also, you can enrich the villages and to provide the food to the town. In that way, you have more working, job creation. So also the immigration in the town, terrible slums. You need to re-equilibrium with the territory. And that is economic, but is fooled by the technology, the internet. Of course, internet IPv6 is magic, it's real magic, but we need also to build that. And in Europe, we also dream, but only 8% they have IPv6. So it needed just now, we could be able to use and to use all the technology to transfer the knowledge. That is a very important strategy, but need to be adopted by the government, by the institution, because they spend a lot of money anyway for that kind of services, but they can have less cost and much more effective if you involve all the population. The population have a cell phone, so the point is to create. We have two platforms, one for security. I said about the project from EU, but this project is ending, and we want to share to the country, to the community in Africa, because it's very useful and it's designed exactly for them with the local university. We have also are involved by recently also by we have a very interesting conversation with Professor Chris and with Mr. Sanisani, who participated the last event in April in New York with the Aruna Mr. Sanisa, Director General of NASA, Rawa State Information Technology, and that and digital economy. That to apply in some other village in Nigeria. Nigeria, I think, is the most advanced country. You have very high-level competence, and also the concept, the vision. And I'm so glad to hear now all your statement, because it's exactly what we need. It's a long trip, it's a longer challenge, great challenge. It's not easy at all. Also because the AI is not so easy instrument and need to drive to the task, because at the moment, if we analyze what happens with AI, it's used both for the war, for the destruction tools, because there are a lot of investment there, but we need to exactly to drive to the social development. The people are interesting, are powerful with the cell phone. Your institution are just very high-level competence. This conference with the IPv6 and the quantum computing, etc., can be very a great gate to the next future, and to also to inspire all Africa. I remember 2007, I was with the UN at the Connect Africa, so it's quite a long time, but Africa make a lot of development in that. So now it's a good moment to involve all the population, to give to the chance to have a larger development, also to avoid the gap between poverty, between rural, between urban, and that I learned a lot from your speech, and I wish you a great success. And thank you so much, and compliment.
Thank you very much, Arch Saporito. Thank you for this insightful, but yeah, well meaningful keynote with a lot of emphasis on access, inclusion, digital equity, and a lot of reminder, and also like a graduate development on how the technology evolves and things like that, with a very pinpointing on the satellites technologies. Thank you very much. The next keynote speaker, Dr. Ahmed. Is Dr. Ahmed in-house, yeah? Hello?
I think he has a connection problem.
Okay. All right.
Same thing for Tommy as well.
All right. Tommy, so we are missing on Tommy and Dr. Ahmed.
Yes.
While we wait to see if they show up, we still have 7 minutes until the break time, the tea break time. If you have any questions, let me just look in the chat section. If we have any questions, then we can pick them. Okay, no questions so far. If you have any questions, please drop in the chat. If you have any questions for our keynote panelists, please drop.
Dr. Ralph had indicated he wanted to say some things about his role in getting the US to adopt IPv6.
All right. So if that can stand in 5 minutes, then yeah. Can you do that in 5 minutes, Dr. Ralph?
2 minutes.
Okay, sure. That's even more interesting.
Everybody, thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I'm as an IPv6 Forum Hall of Fame recognized there for IPv6 deployment. I've been working with the U.S. government since 2000, since before 2005, but 2005 when the first memo came out. And one of the reasons, as I'm hearing everything going on with the growing pains from the continent of Africa, not just the government, but the continent of Africa, it's the same problems. And the other problem that exacerbates this is that every individual government must get their hands around it first and then say, here's our position to get to the next point. Your data governance that the UN, that I saw in chat, the data governance component that the UN is sponsoring is a wonderful thing. The point, though, is the large language models. And on the large language models from AI, one of the things that we're finding out that everybody speaks English in America, but it's American English. and there's idioms and there's syntax changes, which of course is interesting when you're trying to teach an AI model to go after data. So there's those things, but the US government problem is its vendors. It's the vendors getting to IPv6. For example, Azure Cloud. We have problems with Microsoft and Azure Cloud. There's other vendors from a cybersecurity perspective that choose to use NAT by another name to obfuscate subnets behind them. It's not NAT, but it's the same thing as NAT. And then the other thing is our application developers. They've got to stop coding to only use IPv4. It's got to be the protocol independent using fully qualified domain names in DNS, or then just start coding and using IPv6 versus IPv4. That's a very, very, very tough thing to do from vendors and also internal to our governments. Whether it's federal, state, local, tribal, those people who are contracting have to understand IPv6 and what we have to do. So everything I'm hearing here, you're stepping out smartly, you're doing the right thing. And in doing the right thing, my suggestion in chat was to create a roadmap for Africa. Can you do that? Absolutely. Is it the right thing to do? It gives everybody a chance to go ahead and see what's going on and get the stakeholders involved. Because as soon as you get the stakeholders involved and everybody goes, well, this is what we tried. This didn't work over here. How's it working over there? So you have these communal opportunities to come together and say, here's our successes here, here's our failures here. And remember, a failure is not truly failure if you don't learn from that mistake. Was that my 5 minutes? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Great work. I'm here, and I always want to come back and talk about things such as this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That is a very nice piece of advice. I will stress more on working on a roadmap for the continent. But also if we could start like region, sub-region, country-wise, where this task force could help work with the local institutions like ATU and so on, Smart Africa, to see how we can support those governments to create a roadmap, first of all, at the country level, and then a global roadmap for Africa. This will be something that is also very, very interesting. And then if building this roadmap, we also have like people who can help build the capacity in countries, because one of the things we hear people saying about not deploying IPv6 is the lack of capacity. We all know from experience that this is not true, but you know, if people keep having this advice, then it's we can leverage on that to support, like have a capacity building program to empower engineers on how to securely deploy IPv6, and then that's how maybe even the roadmap that you come up with will now be able to be deployed. So thank you very much for the advice. And I also know that at Afrinic is having a program called the IPv6 Government Accelerator Program. It's a program that is focused more on helping governments to build to deploy IPv6 on the government infrastructure first, because you know you cannot sell a technology that you yourself are not using. We keep on talking to governments in countries. Let's say in Nigeria, we talk to people to end networks, the small networks. You need to deploy IPv6. You need to deploy IPv6. But what happens when these small networks, they look at the government websites, there is no IPv6 on it. They look at the government infrastructure, there is no IPv6 in it. So even for the regulators to become legitimate in selling IPv6, in imposing IPv6 to the rest of the country, first of all, you need the government infrastructure to run on IPv6. So I think this is a program that is Afrinic is working on. So we can also think of a way of partnering to see how we really make things happen along the line of IPv6. Yes, Raf, you had something to say again.
I just want to add one thing. You're bringing up IPv6 only. Give you a quick explanation.